these things start perking back up and start popping, then it probably means that Solana is starting to get active again. And in a weird sort of way, these things perking up and popping means that volume's starting to come back in, which means people need to buy the Solana coins, right? And all of these names, they're listed versus USD. The way that I buy them on this Jupiter, everything I do through SOL here kind of idea. In fact, you can see 200,000 is going to cost me a grand total of 0.06 Solana. I mean, this is demonstrating how I would manage a $500 account. So, here's an example of one that's working its way back down into reload zones, back down into original bottoms. So if you never did get in on this one originally, he's starting to come back down into some attractive areas. And not a big surprise that you actually start to see tails develop here because, tails are basically people buying and the market gets launched away from those buy levels. So not really in a big hurry here on a name like this, but I think the important thing is that we are acknowledge that we are working our way back down into buying windows on a lot of these names. Having fun in the Solana ecosystem. I went and did a whole bunch of nibbles on names that people were sort of kicking around in the little old lady room. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't even really know a lot of fundamentals on any of these names. This is probably just pure demonstration of, all right, how am I going to allocate this capital? This is an interesting one, this PEEP, because, you could make the argument, I just reverse that, right? We had started to come down into reload zone. So it's okay to go and do a little bit of nibbling. This guy had to come down a lot further. Really good analogy of quite often a lot of these venture cap names have to do basically a 100% reset. That's very typical. So don't be shocked if you see a lot of these names have to do exactly this. So this is one where I might even just go and pick up a little bit of this off of this W that's forming here and just slowly bring my average down. I bought like 200,000, which is basically nothing here at 11,563. I might go buy another 200,000, which will obviously give me an average cost about halfway between those 2 points. And you can see, the irony of it all. At some point down the road, I mean, maybe we have to go take those lows out, right? The little old lady doesn't really care too much. Just make damn sure not to put more than 5% of your stake at risk on any one trade. But you could see that, 50% levels is just nothing more than a bounce back up to this 24, 145, whatever the hell that number is. If I can get that number down into sort of, 5 area here just on a little purchase, I'm long from 11 and change to a little bit more here at this 4.3 kind of number. Let's bring that number down there. Then I can very easily get my double off on a nice little pop up into 50% levels. Just as an example, this is probably something that I probably will do a little bit of nibbling on here, especially if the price comes back down into that double bottom level. And that's how I see a lot of these names. As Solana is slowly cleaning itself up, I think that, and you never know this. I have a feeling that this thing needs to do a bit of sideways here. Hopefully, that is the lowest low of this correction cycle, and we start cycling our way back up. But you never know. I'm not in the business of predicting the future. I don't know what the fuck's going to happen. But my hunch is while this thing is correcting, a lot of this shill, right, in the space, not really that exciting. These things start perking back up and start popping, then it probably means that Solana is starting to get active again. And in a weird sort of way, these things perking up and popping means that volume's starting to come back in, which means people need to buy the Solana coins, right? And all of these names, they're listed versus USD. But the way that I buy them on this Jupiter, everything I do through SOL here kind of idea. In fact, you can see 200,000 is going to cost me a grand total of 0.06 Solana. So not a hell of a lot of money. I think it comes to like $7. Woohoo! But, I mean, this is demonstrating how I would manage a $500 account. just slow and steady. So the bros, a really good example of when trades go well, how well they go, bang, bang. And interesting how they brought this thing right back down to the original bottom. Then I was putting out tweets the other day saying, all right, now give me a W down in here, and I might just go reload. And if I do reload, I might just use the US dollar because I sold this into US dollar versus Solana. I might just go take those $25 and strap on a second car with that $25, which might draw that down. But if I do second cars, I kind of like the idea of using the US dollars. And then, of course, if this thing perks up again, then we'll have two cars and two cells at 25 down the road. So it is interesting that this thing's come back down, probably into a reload zone within reload zones. And you all know how much I love reload zones within reload zones. Oh my goodness. Pretty much always drawn backwards. Anyway, 61.8, 78.6. Yeah, it's right in that window. So there's another one that don't be shocked if you hear that good old Brian's gone and bought a little bit more down in here. There's SOL itself. This wife, good example. Sometimes these things just go tits up. Ironically enough, wife. I don't know. Is there a joke in there? Maybe. Did some nibbling here, did a little bit more nibbling here, and this thing's just sitting here doing absolutely nothing. And, it might even be a good idea if it's a brand new idea to you that maybe you just stick to the daily charts. You can see that I did this nibble here against these lows, hoping that they would hoping the lows would hold, and of course they didn't. A really, really good example of why you cannot break that 5% rule, because you just don't know in this game what's going to happen. This thing might go right off the board. I have no idea. Wolf, same sort of thing. This guy looked like he was getting ready to go, but then kind of crapped out. So here we are, still stuck at the bottom, starting to perk its way back up a little bit. You can see I did a little bit of nibbling off of this tail. If anything, this is a really good example of why I like the little old lady. I think what they wanted to do was just have one more flush out, and then they put in the bottom, and away we go. So back to my second little purchase nibble, but keep in mind that my average cost on this would be somewhere in this area. So I'm going to need a nice rally up top here, probably into these wicks up here to actually get that double off. Keep your eyes peeled. It is good to see she's starting to turn around a little bit. And, like I said earlier, if you see these things starting to turn and starting to move back up, it probably means that Solana itself is feeling a little bit better. I might say that this is like a left shoulder, neckline, right ahead. Maybe we get a rally right back up into this wick to make another neckline tag, then another shoulder move. So I don't think you've missed the boat. There's probably plenty of opportunity to get in on this thing if you want to get in on it. And probably the biggest thing that I should do is just make damn sure to have that sell half on a double order working. PEPE, this was sort of a kind of a meme kind of play. I'll be honest with you, a really kind of crappy initial buy. What was that? In fact, I think I even put my note on here. Why I bought here, I haven't got a clue. You can see exactly where the original W bottom is, and look at what they've done. They've literally just brought the market right back down to the original breakout. So I'll probably go do another little nibble here on this name when we get down into the original bottom here. But a really good example, if anything, fantastic example of why you can't chase. And, if you do chase, all right, fine. Just make damn sure don't break that 5% rule, because odds are it's probably going to do something like this. A really good testament to, why the little old lady is okay. But really a really good testament on why you really shouldn't chase. Really bad purchase there. Because it's little old lady, I don't really have to worry too much about risk. If anything, it's just a good, oh, Brian, why the fuck did you do that? That was kind of stupid. And now I will sort of dollar cost average and bring my cost base down once we finally worked our way back down to the original buy level. YOTO, this one I think actually is trying to double bottom. This one might be another one that I might actually seriously consider buying. I did again picked up a little bit of this off of just like 61.8 tag of that entire range. Wasn't a terrible sort of nanny nibble. Oh, actually that's backwards. These fibs, I always draw them backwards. Boom. All right. So yeah, you can see original purchase was basically 78.6 of the range. you can see that if this W does confirm, then we're off to the races. Right now, I think what they're trying to do is find out whether this sort of right-hand side of this, is this like an Adam and Eve? Do we get a W, right? If we go down to a 4 hour, you can see we will get a bit of a W coming in here, down, up, down. And I might just go and pick up a little bit more. In fact, actually, yeah, I think I'll probably wait for this level to be taken out. But interesting. You can see off of just this range off the bottom, there is that W there. This is like a W within a W. So keep your eyes peeled. There, you can see the whole market is trying to firm up here. The question ultimately is going to be, what does the market do following the Fed? And I don't know whether it's a good idea for us to get too excited ahead of the Fed. Let's let that get out of the way. Let's see how the market sort of reacts following the Fed. If everything perks up and these W's start confirming, and you've seen there's a number of names that are trying to bottom here, then I think we can start getting active again. So again, same sort of thing. Don't be surprised if you hear me actually doing a little bit of buying in here.